Buddha Dharma teaching. Homage to the Venerable Mang Liao-ming. Homage to Master Sakya Zhenkong. Homage to the 16th Dharma King Karmapa. And homage to Master Dukten Tarji. Homage to the three jewels of the altar. And homage to the main deity of the group practice, Padma Kumara. Simu, all Dharma masters, Dharma educators, Dharma teachers, Dharma lecturers, Dharma assistants, and all disciples present here and over the internet, and our special guests today, Madam Secretary General Daniel Liao, Dharma Sister Judy from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Taiwan, Accountant to the True Buddha Foundation, Dharma Sister Teresa, Attorney to the True Buddha Foundation, Dharma Sister Jennifer Zhou, Producers for the Geni Diansang Xinten of the CTI TV Taiwan, Dharma Sister Rebecca Shi Yachi, Dr. Ryan Zhuang, Good evening, everyone. How do you do?
你好，大家好啊！唔該晒啊！那个Selamat malam。
Indonesian, Selamat malam.
我们今天是做莲花童子本尊法。
And today, the main deity for our group practice is Padma Kumara. Actually, Padma Kumara are in different colors, not just in white. There are all kinds of colors. So today, it doesn't matter what color of clothes you wear. It's fine, because Padma Kumaras are in many colors, not just in one color. So any color exists. In our practice procedure, in the past, there was a verse. It's called the Great Ocean of Fragrance. And there are Padma Kumaras of different colors holding lotus blossoms. There's this verse about Padma Kumara where all different colors of Padma Kumaras appear. And every one of them is holding lotus blossom, white, red, yellow, and different colors. In the past, in Taichung, in a temple called Si-Yin Temple, there was a monk called the Venerable San Si, And he taught this singing the praise, and I learned this there. So I knew that there is this praise, which is a praise that we sing on Buddha's or Bodhisattva's birthday. So we all know about Padma Kumara, the lotus youth. And when you visit the Donghuang caves, and if you ask to see Padma Kumara, the attendant there will tell you that in each of the caves there would be Padma Kumara. There are many Padma Kumaras, and they call it Lianhua Tongzi, meaning the lotus youth. Especially cave 314, it is especially indicated there is Padma Kumara there. And book on Donghuang, published by Lanzhou University, this book was especially researched on Padma Kumara. So there's no need to say more about it because we all know about it already. Now let's continue on the Great Perfection Dharma. Guru Padmasambhava went to Tibet, and he was in Tibet for 50 years. Guru Padmasambhava went to Tibet at the invitation of the Tibetan king Dzogchen. At that time, they wanted to build a temple in Tibet and continually encounter the destructions of the devils or demons. So the king asked Master Santarakshita, "What should I do in this case? Is this because I have not enough merits to build such a temple?" And Master Santarakshita replied, "I am a practitioner of bodhicitta. I am only capable of the serene and tranquil practices and not of the fierce subjugation practices. In order to subdue the demonic forces, we need a strong Dharma power to win over. In the Vajraseat in India, there is a master from Udayana called Padmasambhava. He is a lotus born, a manifestation of a lotus, and he is well versed in the 5 learnings, had attained Siddhi, can destroy all demonic forces supported by the celestial dragons of the 8 directions. When divine Maras meet him, they would run away. He had subdued all kinds of Maras and demons. Having him here will solve all of your problems." So the Tibetan king at that time is called Zanpu. So there's a king in Tibet, and the last king of Tibet is King Langtama. That's when the title Zanpu was eliminated after the last king. So King Dzogchen wanted to build a temple in Tibet, but every time he tried to build, it encountered the destructions. And so Master Santarakshita, Master Jihu or Jingming, so Master Santarakshita introduced Guru Padmasambhava to the king to help Tibet to subdue the demons. So sometimes for Buddhist practitioners, before they walk the Buddhist path, they find their life is going well. There are some people, after they take refuge and start their spiritual cultivation, and because they have heavy negative karma, and all the bad karma appeared together simultaneously, so they start to encounter many obstructions. Some people, prior to entering the Buddhist path, their life was going really well because their destiny is under the control of the Mara. But as soon as you walk the Buddhist path, the Maras or the demons would start to obstruct you. So in the merit dedication earlier, I pray that our Dharma propagators, in spreading the Buddha Dharma, would encounter less obstructions. Like Grandmaster, sometimes there will be obstructions appearing in spreading the Buddha Dharma. And when the obstructions appear, you need to eliminate them. So in our merit dedication, we should frequently dedicate the merit so that may all obstructions in our spiritual cultivation and obstructions that block you would be able to be eradicated. A phenomena sometimes happen when you feel fine if you don't practice, but once you practice, you encounter all kinds of problems and obstructions, and all kinds of issues would appear sometimes. A kid asked his dad, "Dad, why people would choose the good date to get married?" And the dad answered, "Because after marriage there are no more good days." So good date and good days in Chinese, play of word of Chinese. Because after you get married, there are no more good days. So you want to choose a good date to get married. So even in marriage, there are challenges and obstructions. This evening at the cafeteria, dining hall, during dinner, Master Lien Wang said, in mainland China, there is a driver to the cement truck, and because the road was not smooth, the truck fell into a ditch, and one of them died, and one was heavily injured. And the dead person, prior to death, he said, "I love my wife, I love my son, I love my daughter," and continually repeating this until he died. So I said, he must have just gotten married then. Because if you're married for a long time, then you would know. So today, I had selected a few jokes at the abode at the Southern Mountain this morning on the table. And I left in a hurry, and I forgot to take those jokes. So this evening, I checked my pocket, and oh no, forgot to bring those jokes. So what should I do without jokes? And on my desk here, there are also some, so I selected a few. This is the one that I just saw, I just read.
其实修行有的时候跟结婚是一样的。
Sometimes spiritual cultivation is similar to marriage.
所谓下世皈依，下世皈依，是因为你要脱离
So the lowest kind of refuge is in order to liberate yourself from suffering.
这个人间太苦。
So when you find life is full of suffering and you cannot get what you want,
这个冤亲债主始终在前面。
and those that you dislike are always around you, and those who you love are far away, and you see all your karmic debtors and enemies around you, and you have no success in anything you do, and lots of sufferings, and you're ridden with ailments or illnesses, and you're getting old. There are sufferings due to old age, to life, to sicknesses, and also death is also suffering. And everyone is afraid of death, and everyone will die. So there's not much happiness in this human world. The golden age is very short. In the 40s, we are getting fat, we gain weight. In the 50s, in the 60s, we start to to lose memory. In the 70s, and in the 60s, we start to have hypertension. And it's a hectic life, not enough time. So in this human world, there are more sufferings than happiness. And because of the suffering, you want to leave the human world to go to a better world. This kind of reason for refuge is the low kind of refuge. And the medium kind of refuge is you know that life is suffering, and you cultivate spiritually diligently, and you practice Buddhism, and you want to go to the Buddha land, to the Pure Land. You want to attain Buddhahood. So that's refuge of the medium kind is higher than the first one, than the low kind. So you know that life is suffering, but you also want to go to Buddhahood and to attain the fruition of a Buddhahood. And the third kind of refuge is of the highest kind. That you not only save yourself, you also vow to liberate all sentient beings, so that all sentient beings can leave behind sufferings and attain Buddhahood. So this is the refuge of the highest kind. So there are three kinds of refuge. So after refuge, you still encounter a lot of challenges and obstructions. So the Tibetan king Dzogchen wanted to spread Buddha Dharma. At that time, Tibet was very remote and uncivilized, and places where there are lots of demonic obstructions. And most people are followers of the Bon tradition. So King Dzogchen wanted to bring Buddhism onto Tibet, and he encountered oppositions from the local gods, the mountain gods, and also the gods and the devils and demons. So in order for the king to bring in Buddhism, he had to first subdue all those demons and the local gods. So it was not easy for him to spread Buddha Dharma in Tibet. There was a new boss. Boss also sound like master, but this is actually a boss or a manager in a company. A new boss, a new manager told his subordinates, now we are one family, so we should work hard for the company. And if you have any question, ask me. So one employee asked, do you curse on us? The old boss had a really bad temper, so we're afraid of him. And the new manager said, oh, don't be afraid of me. I never scold anyone. And then later on, and the manager added that anyone that I curse or scold are not human beings. It's similar to the joke that I told before. The Master Lu, this is plain version Chinese. Unstable mood is normal, but if it's so unstable, then that's abnormal. If the mood is swinging all the time, then that's abnormal. So this mood swing would be able to affect your own merits as well as everybody's merits around you. So as a spiritual cultivator, we shouldn't be influenced by our mood. It should be within a certain range. You would not be so influenced by your moods. Should not be too elated or too low. If your mood is too high, then you're ecstatic. But if your mood is too low, then that's depression. If there is some mood swing, that's okay, but that's unstable. As a true tantrika, you need to be totally stable. Doesn't matter what joyous thing happened or what grief you encounter, you still would be able to maintain it right at the middle. If you have these mood swings in your Buddhist studies, you need to learn to meditate, to develop meditative stability, and to balance or control your own mood. You know, when we just build the true Buddha Dharma protected ground, everybody was so motivated and enthusiastic. And recently, And recently, because they are not much attack, they are not many people doing anything anymore. Not very many people write or doing anything, but we actually need to maintain it. So recently, not many people read or get onto the site. Nobody reads about it or writes on it. So on this website, to support the True Buddha Dharma, we still have to continually support it by reading or writing on it. So the answer by Santarakshita is that I am a gentle practitioner of bodhicitta. I'm only capable of the gentle and tranquil practices and not the fierce subjugation practice. So that's fine that and the fierce practices are done by Guru Padmasambhava. So you need both, they're complementary. You practice the gentle or tranquil practices to liberate yourself, and at the same time you need to be able to liberate others by subduing them. So look at the Buddhas, they're all serene deities. But the Herukas and Dharma protectors, many of them here. So we need both the serene Buddhas and serene Bodhisattvas. And at the same time, we also need the wrathful Guru Padmasambhava and all the Vajra and Dharma protectors. They need to combine, to work together. So although Grandmaster is serene, but among us, we need the Vajra protectors to continually support the True Buddha Dharma and work on the side so that we need to continue to maintain and support it. So for subjugation, we need a very strong Dharma power. In Udayana, there is Padma Kumbhara, Padmasambhava, actually a lotus born, and that's the same as lotus youth or Padma Kumara. Whereas in the 5 learnings, as we have talked about, there's about Buddha Dharma, crafts and skills, medicine, languages, and logic. So there are the 5 kinds of learnings. And he attained CD. CD means accomplishment or attainment. So in our spiritual cultivation, we need to have CD. The first kind of CD or attainment is spiritual response. These days, we circumambulate and chant Buddha Amitabha inside the temple hall because it's rather cold. So every day during the circumambulation, anyone who could feel the Amitabha Buddha descend, please raise your hand. Oh, there's somebody that could raise their hands. So if you could feel Amitabha Buddha is here, then that's a kind phenomena of the spiritual response. If you don't feel it at all, then you have no spiritual response. When you invoke a deity, and if you could know that the deity truly descend upon your body, then you have spiritual response. That's the first kind of CD or attainment. Because in the future, at the time of death, you need to recite Amitabha Buddha. And if you have spiritual response, then Amitabha Buddha would appear in front of you and guide you to the Western paradise, to the Buddha land. But if you don't have any perception or sensation about it, at the time of death, you recite the Amitabha Buddha, you don't know if Amitabha Buddha is calm or not, then you have no spiritual response. So it doesn't matter what deity you practice, that deity would come. And if you could feel, if you know that the deity comes, then that's spiritual response. And if you don't have any perceptions or sensation about it, then there's no spiritual response. Every time Grandmaster is making an offering, Grandmaster would lift the plate, and with Om Ahom, the whole space is filled with the offering. And you need to invoke the deities. You make offerings to the deities, offering to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and to my own lineage root guru. And then you recite Om Ahom. You present the offerings. And then when the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas descend, you would feel it. And they would receive your offerings. And if you are able to do that, then that's spiritual response. After dinner, Grandmaster giving blessing on the head. And prior to giving the blessings, I would pray to the deity and to have the deity descend upon my body before I give the blessings. That's spiritual response. That's the first kind of CD. So if you have no spiritual response, your tantric practices have not gained any power. But if you have spiritual response, then you have gained some power from your spiritual practices. So now you know what spiritual response is. The manager told the policeman, our bookkeeper ran away. So did you check the safe? And the manager replied, yes, I checked very carefully and he's now hidden inside. So the dialogue between the manager and the policeman did not have any spiritual response. The policeman asked, so did you check the safe? But the manager did not understand and said, yeah, I checked and he's not inside the safe. Actually, the policeman wanted him to check if he lose anything. I told this joke earlier too. Someone's house caught fire and he called 911 here in the United States, and in Taiwan, we call 119. So she called 911, and she said, my house is on fire. And the other person asked, where? Where are you? And she replied, at the kitchen. No, but where are you? I'm at my home, of course. And, no, but where? How do we get there? And she said, but don't you have fire trucks? So there's no spiritual response here. It doesn't connect. Because the question is, where is your location? Where are you? Meaning, where is your address? You should have set the address so that they could get to your place. And she missed telling them the address or how they could help her. So there's no connection, no spiritual response. So the first CD is spiritual response. It's this connection. And Guru Padmasambhava attained the 8 CDs of the worldly 8 CDs and the out-of-worldly 8 CDs. So that's CDs are attainments. So the yoga, deity yoga, that's also called the mantra chanting practices. That's all to gain yoga, meaning spiritual response, which is connection or union. Once you gain this yoga or union, then you would be able to gain the power of the deity. Or if you have yoga with your root guru, then you gain the power of the root guru, the yoga of spiritual response. The man told the woman, things didn't go well today. Seeing a beautiful woman would make me feel better. And she told the woman, why don't you smile at me? And then she replied, do you want me to have a bad day? So there's no yoga here. So if the woman really smiles at him, then that would be interesting. That would be something. Because the beginning of that is smile. Eyes looking into eyes and then smiling toward each other. That's interesting. But for monks and nuns, you should abide by the precepts, and the precepts are strict. If you are in the precept school, your eyes cannot look into the other pair of eyes, otherwise you would be electrified. Then you would become unstable and your heart would start to beat. Like the deer is hitting everywhere. The wife asked the husband, prior to getting married, when you see me, your heart beats really fast because the deer is jumping everywhere. How about now? And the husband replied, oh, the deer is dead now. No more. These are all symptoms of no yoga. So in Tantrayana, the most important thing is CD. CD is yoga or spiritual response or yogic response. And Guru Padmasambhava knows how to subdue forces. Why? How? Because he has Dharma protectors on him. So by the power of his protectors, he would be able to destroy or destruct those demons and maras. So all the way into Tibet, he subdued all the demons and gods. As soon as he entered into Tibet, all the maras and gods knew that Guru Padmasambhava was about to spread Buddhism there. And all the maras obstructed him, and he subdued them one by one. like the Mahasri Devi, the 12 Sri Deva heavens. They're all actually Maras from the Bon tradition, and after being subdued by Guru Padmasambhava, they become protectors. Like the 5 longevity heavens, they were all Maras, and they were gods from the Bon tradition. And Guru Padmasambhava could destroy all demonic forces. And he's supported by the celestial dragons of the 8 divisions. There was a movie on the celestial dragons, and the movie was slightly different from the novel. So the novels are slightly different from the Buddhism. So they are the celestial heavenly beings and dragons. So the heavenly gods and dragons, they supported Guru Padmasambhava. So Buddhist practitioner could also invoke the heavenly gods and dragons. If you have great power, using your mudra, you can invoke the heavenly and dragon beings. So to invoke the heavenly gods, the gods of the different times. Those are the 12 celestial time. Those are the 12 divisions of the time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 divisions of the time. So the 24 hours divided by 12, so every division is 2 hours. So if you want to invoke the god of that time, you touch the part of your finger that belongs to that time. So now is the time between 9 and 11. That would be the high. No. Right. 9 to 11, yeah, it's high. Yes. From 9 to 11, that would be high. And you touch here. And then you use a hook or invocation mudra on one other hand, on the other hand. And the other hand touch on that part of your finger. And then the god of that time would descend. And if you ask him about anything, then he would know anything that happens during that time. So it goes like this, clockwise. And then you touch with your thumb on that part of your finger, and then the god of that time would descend and answer your question. So Guru Padmasambhava has the heavenly gods and dragons as his attendants, and he could invoke them. And when the Maras meet him, the Maras would run away, because Guru Padmasambhava has great power and has bright light. The man told the woman, seeing you, I feel like an ocean. And the woman asked, are you in love with me? And the man said, no, no, no. You know, because I always have a seasickness. So seeing the great ocean, I feel nauseous. So that's a misunderstanding. Many, many, many years ago, before electricity, before light bulbs, that must be long ago. Like when I was little, I went to Penghu Island, and at that time, there was no electricity in Xiyi, the town of Xiyi in Penghu, in the village. Although in Ma Gong, the city, there was electricity. So I went to this remote village in the island. I had to take a boat then, but now there's a bridge and you can go there. But at that time there was no electricity there. So many, many years ago in a remote village, they just started having electricity. So every household have light bulbs. And an elderly lady did not know how to turn off the light. So like blowing off on the oil lamp, she blew on the light bulb. Oh, so this lamp is really good. It is a wind. It's not affected by the wind. There is a strong wind in the Penghu Island, whether in summer or winter. If the wind blew from your back and you walk as if you're being pushed by the wind, and the sand would also hit your body. I have a relative in Penghu. There's a grocery chains called Ching. There are over 20 of them in Penghu. And he's a supplier to that grocery chains. They are quite well known in Ma Gong. The China. And they had lots of cinemas and real estate properties. And I did not have to pay when I go to the movies because he is the son of my uncle. So we came from the Fujian province, Fenyang town. So from Fujian we went to Jingmen, and then to Penghu, and then to Jiayi. So we are considered to come from Fenyang town. So at the earliest time when I visited Penghu, there was no electricity. It was really backward then. And of course, in the past, in Tibet, there was no electricity. So all the heavenly Maras, they ran away as soon as they encountered Guru Padmasambhava. Like when we have light inside our heart or on your body, all the demons, the Maras, the ghosts would run away. It's the same concept. So like if you say that you got attached by spirits, Grandmaster would tap on you. Because Grandmaster's palms have light, then all the negative spirits or energies that attach to your body, they all would leave. They're my brother too.
事情是这样的，在农历12的时候，那个师姐她鬼上身，鬼上身之后呢，她在家里闹得很凶，因为我回去后我去问这个事情，闹得很凶，一直说你们要救我，你们要帮我，之后我会报答你们。之后开始家里人没人管她，
you need to help me to save me, then I would repay you back. And everybody ignored her. So she threw the plates and stuff at home. But Dharma's sister communicated to her, you need to deliver me, then, and I would repay your generosity. So the Dharma sister told her, tomorrow is the 15th, why don't you take refuge in Grandmaster? So on Sunday, I registered her for the Homa. So here, 3 p.m., and in China, it was 6 a.m., and she had a dream. And the ghost told her that you helped me, and now I would repay you. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., you buy a lottery for 100 yuan. And she woke up and she bought $100 worth of lottery. And she won 160,000 yuan. So the ghost was very righteous. Because you brought to deliver me, now I can be reincarnated. And the ghost was repay you back if you buy a lottery worth of 100 yuan, and she got 160,000 yuan. So the ghost was quite trustworthy, was a good ghost. And the ghost knew that attaching to somebody's body, and the ghost knew that her relative is a true Buddha school disciple and would be able to help him. And so that he became the primary supplicant for the Homa. And as soon as the Homa finishes, the ghost was delivered, and on the way still helped the person. So this is a good ghost, and he must be a brainy ghost, and he could find someone that has connection with the true Buddha school disciple, relative. I met a ghost like this before too. I want to get attached to the body of your disciple, then I can meet you. Then I can tap on you, and tap on the ghost, and then the ghost can be Bardo delivered.
这个降服诸多魔众啊，如果能够请莲华生大师到西藏的话，
subdue all the demonic forces.
到最后，他那个庙就盖起来。
So by inviting Guru Padmasambhava to Tibet, all the demonic forces were subdued and the temple was finally built.
有一个人呐，买了一只乌龟。
Someone bought a turtle,
卖主说啊，这个东西
and
能
the
够活
seller
1万年
said,
呢。
this person can live
这
for
个买的东西
10,000
买回
years.
去了，可是第二
And the
天
buyer
乌龟就死了。
bought the turtle, and the
那买
next
的
day
人很
it
生气，就
died.
跑去卖。
So the
卖乌龟的
buyer
人。
was really angry and found the
你看那个
seller.
乌龟，我买回去就死了。
The turtle died
那
after
个
I
卖乌龟的人就
bought
讲了
it.
啊，今天刚好
And
他
the
是
seller
1万
said,
岁。
Oh, because today he is 10,000 years old.
这也是很巧哈。
What a coincidence.
这个生意人很厉害。
A
生意人是很厉
businessman.
害，刚好1万岁，那个乌龟刚好1万岁。
Incredible. That he said that turtle's 10,000 years old. That's why he died.
一名这个妙龄的少女嫁给一位老富翁，婚礼上有人指
A young, beautiful lady got married to an
真是
old
委屈
man.
了这个小姐。你看
And
那位老
someone said,
新娘新郎，年纪都快赶上她爷爷。
this is really
这个老富翁
bad
就
because the old man
我
is
才委
almost like
屈
her grandpa.
他的爷爷只比我大2岁，我还要叫他爷爷。
But the man replied, you know, her grandpa was actually 2 years older than I am, but I have to call him grandpa
也有这种笑话。
because he has to follow his wives.
莲华生大师的寿命很长。
Guru
他也是属于
Padmasambhava
长寿的。
lived a very long
我不知道
life.
他这个年龄是怎么算的啊？
I don't know
他
how
年纪
they
是怎么算
count
的？这个，
his
但是
age,
他的寿命是真的非常的
but
长。
his lifespan was truly
他
long.
佛陀过世的时候，
When Buddha
才几年，他就出
Sakyamuni
生。
entered into Nirvana, he was
那
born only a short
这
few
个
years afterward.
伽叶尊者
And
给
Mahakasyapa,
他大伽叶啊，大伽叶给他那个剃发，给他剃发。
shaved
阿
his
难尊
head,
者给他这个
and
受
Ananda
这个做那个出家戒。阿难尊者给他受出家戒。
performed the
这大伽
ordination,
叶给莲华生大主这个剃发。
and Mahakasyapa shaved his hair.
那个时候他就莲华生大师就在，
So
那么
Guru
到了
Padmasambhava
这个
already
他在
existed
西藏
during that time.
他在印度的时
And
候
when
啊
he-
就已经修成了法。
When he
就
was in
就已经学了
India,
很
he
多法
already
在
had
在
siddhi.
印度就本身就很
He
有
had
名。
learned
听说
lots
还
of
是阿难
Dharma
多
practices, and
大
he was
学里
already
面莲华
famous
生大师
in
也
India.
曾经在阿难多大学，
And he was once also at the Nalanda
所以
University.
他的这个真的是非常非常长的这个寿命。我
So
们今天
he
就讲到这里。
truly lived a very long life. That's all for today. Om Mani Padme Hum.